And we're back for the final segment. Jeff, Jesse, and Zach, we thank you for joining us. We want to take this opportunity right now to welcome you to come on to the Fat Chat at testosteronesports.com. As soon as the show is over, we'll help you with all your matchup-related questions, just as we said before the last break. But this final segment, we want to talk to you specifically about trends and mirages. Last week, we dubbed the show When the Trends Begin. This week, we're starting to see some more of these trends settle in, Jeffrey.
Yeah, most definitely. You know, as week 4 approaches, we want to take a look at some of the things that have been happening throughout the course of the first few weeks of the NFL. There's always a big shakeup right when the season begins. And so as the dust settles, you start to see some teams all of a sudden are producing at a very high level that you never saw coming. Some teams that you thought were going to be good are lifeless right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over some of those teams, talk about what we think are trends that will continue, and then some things that will change throughout the course of the next few weeks. And pay attention because trading season is around the corner, so you want to have a good, strong feel for the trends and mirages as you go to make the trades for the next few weeks.
Okay, so as we delve into these teams that are a trend or a mirage, we're going to start with the Cleveland Browns. Now, you guys, I remember when we were doing the Week 1 show, I sat right here and you guys sat there. You both picked the Browns as a playoff team this season. They've been a real surprise so far. They've got this offense that's loaded with talent, yet they can't get on track, Zach. Is this a trend? Will the Cleveland Browns suck this season?
As much as, I want to blame it on the offense, I expected their defense to be a lot better, you know, as my own personal opinion. They brought in Sean Rodgers and Corey Williams, 2 big defensive tackles, and they're not producing, you know. They're not getting the defensive stops that I was planning on them getting. I thought they're going to be a much improved defensive team. And then you got the offense, which is really, really struggling. Derek Anderson is looking absolutely terrible. He's got the league worst passer rating of all the quarterbacks. He's completing just barely 50% of his passes. So I think he's one bad series away from getting pulled for Brady Quinn.
So a trend?
You got to give it a trend until they start turning it around. But, they're playing in one of the hardest divisions in the country. You know, they're playing with the Baltimore Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And their schedule is very, very difficult. So they got to start winning some games. And the way things are going right now, and just the fact that they're already 0-3, granted they play the Bengals this week, but it's definitely a trend in my mind.
Trend or mirage?
Well, I'll tell you, I really think that this is one of the hardest ones to pick, and the reason is because we're looking at a real strong potential at a quarterbacking change. And so, you know, we're about to see a new face under center. If Derek Anderson takes this as motivation, then I think it's a mirage. And he can come out, and if he throws the ball well here, it's a crappy defense to play against. So we're going to see the best of what he has to offer early in the game. All right, if he struggles and we see Brady Quinn, then I feel like it's more of a trend because Quinn is going to come in, not very much experience, and I don't think he's going to start off extremely hot. I think that he will take some time to develop. So to me, it's all about this week in this game. How soon does Anderson get the hook? If he performs well and remains the starter, then it's a mirage.
Staying in this same game, the Cincinnati Bengals also have a formidable offense, but they have been just dismal so far this season, guys. Chad Ochocinco, Carson Palmer, none of these guys really playing up to their potential. We did see finally a game last week from TJ Houshmandzadeh where he stepped out and made some plays, but still, all in all, the Bengals offense has been anemic, Jeff. Trend or mirage?
I really do think this is a mirage. You know, last week we saw Carson Palmer come out and he started to connect with TJ Houshmandzadeh. And what we're realizing here is that Hoosh is like the glue to this offense. You know, he really is the inspirational leader. He gets things going through the air, and as long as they can continue to connect, the mirage will continue to turn around, and we'll see some good play out of this team who, because their defense is so bad, they're going to have to produce just to keep fans coming to the game. And so I really think it is a mirage, and I like a lot of these players as buy low candidates.
Zach?
I'm going to agree with Jeff on this one. I, too, think it's a mirage. You saw last week their offense started coming around quite a bit, and TJ had like 12 catches, and him and Carson were really clicking, you know, like they did much of last year, and it's only a matter of time before Chad Ochocinco steps up. He came out in the media and said this week that he's going to break out this game, and he's definitely going to play better. I know he knows that he's not going to be tolerated for having bad games that he's had so far this year. So
his name's Chad Johnson.
Chad Ochocinco.
No, only a fool would change his name to Ochocinco.
He's a fool. But I definitely think.
But he is Chad Ochocinco, and I mean,
only a fool would change his name to that.
So you got to admit his name's Chad Ochocinco because the guy is a fool.
Chad.
You know, Sean Alexander said that his friends and family want him to change his name to Trey Siete. And I think that sounds way better than what Chad Johnson has done.
Yeah, there you go.
He's a fool.
It's a trend, or Mirage, by the way.
Okay, the Bills are a team that have been on the flip side of this coin where they've started out really hot. Nobody really saw this coming. After week 1 was over and the Tom Brady injury went down, people were saying, you know, is this a division that could be up for grabs? Oh, I think the Jets could win this division. But now here we are. The division is up for grabs, but it's not the Jets grabbing this division by the sack. It is a different team. It's the Buffalo Bills. They're hot, Jeff. Will they stay hot?
Yes, undefeated, and I do think they'll stay hot. I really like what they have as a chemistry level. You know what I'm saying? I think that Trent Edwards does a really nice job of moving the ball. He's not going to win the game on his arm alone, but I really like their receiving core. Roscoe Parrish has been injured now, so I think James Hardy will step up in a big way, and I love Marshawn Lynch. Definitely a trend. Continue to roll with the Bills. They're going to be great.
Zach?
I'm going to agree with Jeff as well on this one. I definitely think it's trend. And what's really impressed me is that they're winning with a very young team. I mean, Trent Edwards is his second year as a rookie last year. Marshawn Lynch was a rookie last year in his second year. And they're a complete team. They play with offense, they play with defense, and they play with special teams. And they're a smart team, and they don't make mistakes.
Another team that's been electric out of the gate, the Denver Broncos. They're led by Jay Cutler, really stepping forward in this season, making some plays at the quarterback position. He's got a bevy of wide receiver targets to work with down the field. Brandon Marshall, who I know you've been high on, Zach. And we've seen a new face in town, Eddie Royal, really making an impact. Tony Scheffler, a guy I liked heading into the season. This club is 3-0. They're looking hot, Zach. Do they have the makings of a team that can stay hot over the long term, or are they going to fall back to the pack at some point?
I think they'll fall back a little bit. I mean, they're not going to keep rolling with what they're doing right now. Jay Cutler's not going to be throwing for 300 yards, 3-4 touchdowns every game. They're definitely going to have to get their running game going at some point during the season. And they're also, the Chargers, I think, are going to on their way up. So they're also going to give them some more competition coming from the bottom of the division. So,
Jeff?
I look at this as a mirage team. I do think that they're going to have a successful season, but I definitely don't think that Jay Cutler will finish the year as the #2 yardage producing quarterback through the air. I also don't think that we'll see another 18 reception performance out of Brandon Marshall. I like this team as a whole, but at the same time, I do think that it's a mirage. So a couple of players here are great for sell high. Jay Cutler, definitely one of them.
Well, I think the biggest thing with them, for me, being that it might be a little bit of a mirage, is their defense. Their defense is playing very poor right now, and they can't stop anybody. So, if anything, that's going to be their downfall.
Well, we thank you for tuning in for this segment of Trend and Mirage, and the show is just about to wrap up. We want to tell you one last time to go onto the website at testosteronesports.com. After the show is over, the three of us will be on there in the Fat Chat. You'll be able to enter into the chat. A new page will pop up on your browser screen. You can still peruse the wares on testosteronesports.com while you're in the chat. We want to meet you, talk to you. It's been loaded. It's been lots of fun lately, so jump onto the chat after the show. Guys, another great show in the books here.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. We'd like to thank you all for joining us. Week 4, right around the corner. And yeah, we'll be here each and every week for your fantasy football players.
Exactly, because if you want to win,
you must tune in
to Testosterone Fantasy Sports. We'll see you next week.
What's up with this?